Yes on 3 is a grassroots campaign seeking to prevent cruelty to farm animals. There are currently no rules in Massachusetts regarding how farm animals can be confined. So by voting yes, we can finally establish common sense protections for farm animals, as well as protections for Massachusetts families from contaminated food, where low-income people are more likely to be threatened by unsafe, substandard, and inhumane food. By voting yes on 3, we will ensure that products sold in the Commonwealth, meat and eggs, meet the modest animal welfare and food safety standard. And so question 3 requires that farm animals have enough space to stand up, lie down, turn around, and extend their limbs, and ensures that products sold in the Commonwealth meet that same modest animal welfare and food safety standard. For example, hens in cramped cages so small that they can't spread their wings. By voting yes on question 3, it's a shift to cage-free conditions for these hens. Change in cost of production is only 1 to 2 pennies an egg to shift from this cruel cage confinement to cage-free conditions for hens. You can also look at what's actually happened in California. So California passed a similar animal welfare and food safety reform a couple of years ago, and today the prices of eggs are on par with the national average, and in fact this summer they dropped below the national average.
I am opposing question 3 because I view it as a social injustice that will victimize low and middle income residents here in Massachusetts. Already we live in one of the most expensive states in the country, where about 800,000 of our neighbors rely on federal food supports to feed themselves and their families. In California right now, it's the only state in the country that bans the sale of any egg that comes from a caged hen. And we can look at the prices there and what happened. And I have here just some of the headlines that came out of California. One reads, "California scrambled eggs, the state's new chicken coop law is hitting human beings hard." My opponents are ignoring what happened in California as they point to the avian flu, which actually happened 5 months after the new law was implemented. Actually go into our own grocery store and you can see the cost difference between a dozen conventional eggs and a dozen of cage-free eggs. The costs are 2, 3, sometimes 4 times the amount of cage-free eggs compared to conventional eggs. In a cage-free environment, which doesn't necessarily mean cage-free. It could just mean that it's a bigger cage. There was a video that came out of a cage-free egg facility in California that showed some of these torturous conditions that my opponents are talking about that are not happening here in Massachusetts. And it showed these conditions, again, in a cage-free environment. So what that tells us is that where these awful conditions, where they do exist, it's not a housing issue, it's actually a farm management issue. If my opponents were concerned about the one farm in Massachusetts, they could have spent a portion of what they've raised in money to go and retrofit those cages. But that farm in Massachusetts is not their concern. I'm hoping that the Massachusetts voters will vote with facts and science instead of their emotions.